What if I told you that the most powerful thing you can do in any room is say absolutely nothing? Not because you have nothing to say, but because you understand something most people never figure out. The world tells you to speak up, be louder, be bolder, make yourself heard. And while everyone is busy performing their confidence, the truly powerful ones are sitting back, watching, listening, and winning. Today, we are going to talk about silence. Not the awkward kind, not the defeated kind, the deliberate, strategic, almost dangerous kind of silence that separates people who react from people who lead. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you will never look at a quiet person the same way again. We live in a culture obsessed with noise. Social media rewards the loudest opinions. Meetings reward the person who talks the most. We have been conditioned to believe that speaking equals confidence and silence equals weakness. But here is what that conditioning actually does. It makes you predictable. It makes you readable. And in a world where information is power, being an open book is a disadvantage. Think about the people you respect most in your life. The mentor who speaks rarely, but every word lands like a hammer. The leader who pauses before responding and makes you feel like your question actually mattered. The negotiator who sits back while the other side spills everything. These people are not quiet because they have nothing to say. They are quiet because they know exactly what they are doing. Silence is not the absence of power. Silence is the power. Here is the first reason silence makes you powerful. It is the ultimate display of self-control. When someone insults you, your instinct is to fire back. When someone challenges your idea, your instinct is to defend it. When there is an awkward pause in conversation, your instinct is to fill it immediately. And every time you follow that instinct without thinking, you hand your power over to the moment. Self-control is not about suppressing your emotions. It is about choosing your response instead of being hijacked by your reaction. When you stay silent in the face of provocation, you are not losing. You are refusing to play a game that was designed to destabilize you. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest leaders in history, wrote extensively about the discipline of the tongue. He understood that a leader who cannot govern their words cannot govern anything else. Every time you choose silence over a knee-jerk reaction, you are building a muscle, the muscle of composure. And composure, in high-pressure situations, is worth more than any clever comeback. The second reason silence makes you powerful is this. When you stop talking, you start learning. Most people in a conversation are not truly listening. They are waiting for their turn to speak. They are already forming their next point while the other person is still finishing their sentence. That is not a conversation. That is two people performing at each other. When you practice deliberate silence, you shift from performing to observing. And in that observation, everything opens up. You notice when someone is saying one thing but their body is saying another. You hear the hesitation behind what sounds like confidence. You catch the fear hidden inside someone's demand. This is why great negotiators, great therapists, great detectives, and great leaders all share one uncommon trait. They listen more than they speak. The information you gather through silence becomes your greatest strategic advantage. You see the full picture while others are still painting their corner. And here is the truth that most people miss. The person who understands the room is always more powerful than the person who is trying to dominate it. Let us talk about something very practical. Silence as a tool in negotiation and conflict. There is a principle known by every seasoned negotiator. After you make your offer, you go quiet. You do not justify it. You do not explain it. You do not soften it with extra words. You let it sit, because silence creates pressure, and pressure makes people move. The moment you start filling the silence with justifications, you signal anxiety. You signal that you are not fully confident in what you just said, and the other person picks up on that instantly. But when you state your position and then simply wait, comfortable in the quiet, something interesting happens. The other person begins to feel the weight of the silence. They start to wonder. They start to second-guess themselves. And very often they are the first to speak and the first to give ground. This works in salary negotiations, in business deals, in arguments with people you love. Whoever is more comfortable with silence holds the leverage. Here is something nobody talks about enough. Silence builds your presence. There is a certain magnetism around people who do not feel the need to fill every moment with words. They walk into a room and something about them commands attention without them doing anything. Why? Because their energy is contained. It is not leaking out through unnecessary talk, nervous laughter, or unsolicited opinions. It is concentrated, and concentration creates gravity. When you speak less, every word you do say carries more weight. People lean in, they pay attention, because they know that when you open your mouth, it means something. Compare that to someone who talks constantly. After a while, even their important points get lost in the noise of everything else they have said. The quiet person is underestimated, and being underestimated is a position of tremendous power, because when you finally move, nobody saw it coming. Silence is also one of the highest expressions of emotional intelligence. Emotionally intelligent people know that not every feeling needs to be verbalized. Not every thought needs to be shared. Not every disagreement needs to be argued to its conclusion. Sometimes the most emotionally intelligent thing you can do is let someone have the last word, knowing that your restraint is doing more for you than any argument could. Silence in grief says, "I am here," without making it about me. Silence in anger says, "I will not destroy this relationship for a moment of satisfaction." Silence in success says, "I do not need your validation because I already know my worth." That level of emotional regulation changes how you move through every relationship, every workplace, every difficult conversation in your life. It is not passivity, it is mastery. So let me bring this home. Silence is not what you say when you have nothing to offer. It is what you say when you have everything under control. It signals self-possession. It gathers intelligence. It applies pressure without aggression. It builds presence without performance. And it reflects a level of emotional mastery that most people spend their entire lives never reaching. In a world screaming for attention, your silence is loud. The next time you feel the urge to fill the quiet, pause, just for a moment, and ask yourself whether speaking serves you or whether the silence already does. Because the most powerful thing you can do is not always the thing that makes the most noise. It is the thing that is done with complete intention, complete control, and complete confidence. That is where your power lives. Thank you for watching. If this hit differently for you today, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And remember,
Sometimes the most profound statement you can make is the one you choose not to say.